Part 3, Greenhouse Gases. Not all gases behave the same way. Most of the gases in the atmosphere do not absorb long-wave radiation, therefore they are not greenhouse gases. So greenhouse gases, they're able to absorb heat, right? They're able to absorb heat by vibrating. So let's look at what we know. So let me find, sorry, I need to find it here. Here you go. Okay, so we talked about water as being one of the greenhouse gases. We need to go back and look at how water is structured. So water is an oxygen bonded to two hydrogens. And if you remember electronegativity, or the ability of pulling electrons, oxygen is way more electronegative than hydrogen. So that means that in this bond, the electrons are going to be pulled towards oxygen. So this is going to create a polar bond. Okay, let's look at another example. So you have nitrogen. So water is a greenhouse gas. Let's look at a non-greenhouse gas, nitrogen. So nitrogen, two nitrogens bonded together, and here's their bond. Because they have the same electronegativity, they don't have any uneven share of electrons. So they have a non-polar bonding, and therefore that makes them a non-greenhouse gas. This is ozone. Let's see if we think it's greenhouse gas or not. So ozone is three oxygens bonded together. Okay. Of course, the bonds are gonna be the same because in terms of electronegativity. However, the molecule is bonded in a bent shape, so there will be uneven share of electrons because this is going to have its electrons pull this way and pull this way. So this is going to be slightly positive, this is going to be slightly negative. So this molecule is a greenhouse gas. Okay, so a molecule's distribution of charge affects its property in the atmosphere. So we know what is a greenhouse gas from a non-greenhouse gas in a theoretical sense by just looking at how the molecule is shaped and what is bonded to what, and how the charge is distributed, okay, and how it's bonded together. Gases with polar bonds, elements bonded with different electronegativity, will be greenhouse gases. Okay? Remember, energy is stored in bonds. So if we look at carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, it is a greenhouse gas because of this carbon-oxygen bond. Water is a greenhouse gas because of this oxygen-hydrogen bond. Again, uneven share of electrons. Methane, it is a greenhouse gas because carbon bonded to hydrogen. Hydrogen is way weaker than carbon, so again it creates an imbalance. And this is what this imbalance looks like. So let me just familiarize you with this. This is a really cool instrument. It's a chromatogram. What it does, and this instrument is called a Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy. I know it's a mouthful. And it's usually known for fingerprinting elements. So if you ever watch CSI and they put something in a machine, one of those machines is an infrared machine because it's able to tell exactly what's bonded to what. And the way this is done is pretty straightforward. What they do is they take the gas and they run a long range of infrared energy at different frequencies, and they see whether or not the molecule absorbs energy or not. So they did that with carbon dioxide right here. So they added 4,000 wave number, 3,000 wave number, and all of a sudden when they reach around 2,200, they see a big drop. That means that the molecule absorbed that energy. And actually we know that at about 1,200 wave number, carbon dioxide begins to stretch. Okay, so it begins to stretch. So in other words, absorb the bond begins to absorb that energy. And then if you keep going at around, I don't know, 500 wave number, again it begins to absorb, and that's bending. Actually, the molecules begins to bend when it absorbs energy. You can see that with nitrous oxide. So again, you put a nitrous oxide in one of those instruments and you begin to run a range of frequencies. And for nitrous oxide, it absorbs energy at about 2500. It begin again to stretch because those bonds are polar, they are uneven. In the presence of heat, they begin to stretch. And again, if you go through it, it bends and do all sorts of things. The same thing can be said about methane. Here's the region that methane absorbs energy. And then finally, water. This is the range that water absorbs infrared radiation. So right here, this part is not relevant because the solar spectrum is around this area. So we're really interested about gases that absorb in this area because we know they're going to be able to trap heat. So water absorbs this way. And for water is interesting because water actually bends, okay, because there's uneven bonds. Okay, there are others. Okay, there are some man-made gases. Just want you to know that there's lots and lots of other gases out there that are greenhouse gases. And again, greenhouse gas is any gas that's able to absorb heat or infrared radiation. I want to point it out that when we talk about temperature, we're talking about the average kinetic energy of particles, in other words, movement. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So we're done with this. Okay. So here are some molecules, and the video is going to speed it up. In other words, it's going to increase temperature, so you can observe as it's speeding it up, it's becoming hotter. Okay, so temperature is increasing in movement. Okay, so very low temperature, very high temperature. Okay, so I want to point that out. So actually now I want to go over this for a second. So let me walk you through this for a moment. Okay, so this molecule is oxygen, two oxygens bonded together. This wiggly thing, okay, is infrared radiation. This is a spectrum, okay, infrared spectrum. And as you can see, this pink line is the absorption of oxygen. It does not absorb, that's why it's a flat line. So I can move around and nothing's gonna happen to it. And oxygen is moving a little, right? Because everything moves, it's just how much it's moving. So it's moving a little, but it's definitely not interacting with the infrared radiation, right? There's no absorption of infrared radiation. And that makes oxygen a non-greenhouse gas. Let's look at a greenhouse gas. Let's look at carbon dioxide. So here's carbon dioxide, carbon and two oxygens. Here's the infrared radiation. Here are the sections that carbon dioxide absorbs infrared radiation. So right now it's not doing anything because it's at 20 what? Maybe 2200, I don't know. But let's see what happens when we put it over the region where it's supposed to absorb. There you go. So over this region, it absorbs, and you can see it begins to move. Right? So its temperature increases. Okay, let me give you another example. Let's try another greenhouse gas. Let's try water. Okay, so water not interacting at all with the infrared radiation. However, let's put somewhere here where it does interact. So let's move this big one over here. Let's move over here and see what happens. So you can see water begins to absorb that energy. Okay, but it has to be at a certain wavelength. Okay, so now let's put everything together. Let me go back to carbon dioxide, and then let's see what happens in the atmosphere. Okay, so here's the setup of the atmosphere. The blue one and the most ones are the nitrogen, right? Because the atmosphere consists mostly of nitrogen. The red ones are oxygen. This is a thermometer, so we can measure temperature here. Here's your carbon dioxide. Not much is happening to it. It's bouncing against a container, right? So let's see what happens when we move the spectrum to the range at which the Earth emits radiation, right? Because this is what we want to know, what the range at which the Earth emits radiation, which is right here. Okay, so carbon dioxide begins to absorb. Okay, there we go, it begins to absorb. And as it absorbs, notice that it begins to bang against the other gases. Okay, so you can see that in a second. Okay, there we go. You can see the gases are beginning to move faster because it's almost like a pinball machine. The carbon dioxide begins to hit all the other ones. Okay? And notice how the thermometer is increasing in temperature. Right? So wait here just for a moment. And you can see the thermometer began very here and now it's increasing. So this is how greenhouse gases are able to increase the temperature, because they themselves are able to absorb the energy, but then they begin to collide against other gases that are not greenhouse gases. So although nitrogen and oxygen cannot absorb infrared radiation, they can interact with greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and water and gain energy through conduction, remember, by touching when they collide against greenhouse gases. Not all greenhouse gases are made equally. When we look at a greenhouse gas and we look whether or not we should be concerned, there are three things that we look at. The lifetime. So right now you're probably wondering why we're talking about water as being a greenhouse gas. Well, it is. Water is able to absorb infrared radiation and is found in the atmosphere, therefore it makes it into a greenhouse gas. However, we are not concerned about water because its lifetime as a gas is very short, so it doesn't last very long compared to carbon dioxide that can last years and years and years. We also look at the concentration of the gas in the atmosphere, and we look at what region of the spectrum it absorbs energy. We are concerned if that gas absorbs infrared radiation at the same wavelength that the Earth emits energy, and that's the ones that really trap heat. And when we're comparing gases, you're going to start hearing this word or reading global warming potential, and that's how we compare gases. So the GWP is a comparison of its potential to increase temperature compared to carbon dioxide. This is the last slide. The three main greenhouse gases: water vapor, from evaporation of lakes and oceans, it is the most abundant, but is the most short-lived. Carbon dioxide, produced by volcanic eruptions, respiration of animals, and by burning of fossil fuels, so using gasoline and all that stuff. Methane, which is produced during production of fossil fuels, so every time you trying to take out fossil fuels, it usually releases methane. Rotting food or rotting waste in landfills. Production of some of our foods, for example, cows, we know that release lots of methane. Is the least amount of gases in the atmosphere. However, is the greatest contributor because it can absorb so much energy. Okay, so that is the end of this topic. Again, post your questions on the discussion board.